Oran Aldrich, you son of a whore, who the hell said you could set foot in my tavern? A dark-skinned man chirped from the other side of the tavern. I am the greatest warrior in Needheim. I go where I want when I want, you Keltez bastard. Sir Aldrich replied. Iroch put his hand on the hilt of his sword and did not know what to expect from this man from Keltez. Iroch watched as the man came strolling over to them gingerly and got face to face with Sir Aldrich. They stood there staring at each other for just a moment. Both men laughed as they embraced. What the hell you doing back already? You get kicked out of the king's sister's wedding already? The man from Keltez asked. You mean you have not heard Bemenjo? Sir Aldrich replied. Heard what, that the king's sister and no longer a virgin? Bemenjo replied. Never mind that, Bemenjo, this is my squire Iroch Zeke. Sir Aldrich replied. Iroch was taken back for a second. He did not realize that Sir Aldrich now considered him his squire. Well, are you going to shake my hand, or are you as rude as your master here? Bemenjo asked. Sorry, sir, I meant no offense. Very nice to meet you, Iroch replied. Bemenjo roared with laughter. Sir, I am no more a knight than the pig I fucked last night. Boy, I am Bemenjo Pulaz of the Isle of Keltez. I am many things, a drunk, a grouper, he said as he grabbed the bar wench by her crotch, a procurer of fine ales and a ward to the castle, same as your Sir Aldrich here was. Only difference is he wanted to become a knight, and I just want to go from tavern to tavern and fuck different women with my big cock. If there is not a woman around, a sheep or pig will do just fine too. Bemenjo replied as he licked his lips. Leave the boy be, Bemenjo, you sick bastard. He does not want to hear of your bestialities. Sir Aldrich replied, Well, maybe I could just borrow him for the night. Bemenjo replied as he grabbed Iroch by the crotch. Before Bemenjo could say another word, Iroch hit him square in the mouth, causing him to spin around and fall down. Bemenjo got to his knees, and Iroch cracked him again. This time blood came spurting out of his nose. Iroch then started to put the boots to Bemenjo until Sir Aldrich pulled him off. People in the tavern were laughing and some even cheering. Sir Aldrich flipped the tavern keep a silver coin and apologized for the trouble. The tavern keep flipped the coin back and said, No problem, if the lad hadn't knocked him out, I was going to have to by night's end. The two travelers went to the inn portion of the building and requested a room and a meal. Will the two of you want any ale? The woman working the counter at the inn asked. Much to Iroch's surprise, Sir Aldrich replied, No. It will be nice to sleep on a soft bed tonight. Iroch said as he tore off a heel of bread and dipped it into the gravy and mashed potatoes. Sir Aldrich gave no response. I apologize for beating up your friend, sir, but he grabbed me by the walnuts, Iroch said. Sir Aldrich gave a slight chuckle. No, it's not that, lad. I am just thinking after talking to Bemenjo that news has yet to reach Giant's Castle, and maybe we should not delay and continue riding. Actually, lad, I am sure we will be fine. Eat up. It did not take Iroch long to fall asleep after eating. Right before he went to sleep, he felt pain in his hand, but he was too tired to let it keep him up. The next morning, Iroch awoke, and Sir Aldrich was nowhere to be found. He looked to the little table that was in the room. There was a small satchel with some coins and a letter from Sir Aldrich. Iroch, I have traveled on ahead. The great lords must be informed of the death and the circumstances involving the king and his men. If you wish, you may come seek me out. I will be first stopping at the West Castle. That is the castle that was bestowed upon Lord Willard Alfred. My father also stays within the West Castle's walls. If you wish to play no further part in this, take this coin and head to the place you call home. Though I did not know you long, you were a great squire. I know Alphys felt the same way also. Iroch stood there puzzled. He thought to himself, I have no place that I call home any more. I am already a squire. I cannot go back to the academy. I guess I know what I have to do, but where do I start? Giant's Castle is such a large place. How will I find my way around? Iroch walked over to the woman working behind the counter and asked, What is the best route to get to the West Castle? She was not sure. It amazed Iroch that so many people lived within these great walls of Giant's Castle, but managed to just live and die in such a small part of it. Iroch headed outside. There was a wagon with wooden barrels loaded in it, and 4 oxen ready to pull it. He thought to himself, I will wait until the owner of this wagon comes out. and he will for surely know how to get to the West Castle. The man who came out was not a man at all, but a woman. Although surprised, he asked her if she knew how to get to the West Castle. She replied, "Sure I do. My husband and I are heading there after he finishes unloading this tavern's shipment. You are more than welcome to follow us if you like." "That would be great, thank you very much, my lady," Irok replied. Irok was in a pleasant mood. Not only was the lady helpful, but she was easy on the eyes as well. She had long brown hair and dimples when she smiled. She didn't have too big of a bosom, but they were very perky. He figured it would be a joy to travel to West Castle with her and her husband. "Here my husband comes now, and he is already singing one of his terrible songs," the pretty woman said. "The castle's strong, the castle fair, but I prefer the touch of a woman's hair. Knights are true, knights are strong, women prefer when their swords are long. The ale is strong, the ale has taste, make you brave, no matter the woman's face." The man was carrying 2 barrels of wine, a barrel of ale, and a jug of rum. Irok said to the man, "Here, let me help you." Irok took the top barrel and the jug of rum and saw the man's face. "You!" Both men screamed at the same time. "You are married to her?" "The fact that you are married at all is a shock to me, let alone to someone as pretty as her." Irok then turned to the woman and asked, "Do you have any idea what your husband was saying last night?" Bemenjo replied, "Don't believe a word he says. Honey, this is the man who attacked me last night for no good reason." "No good reason? You grabbed me by the stones," Irok exclaimed. No, I didn't. You know I would never do anything like that, my sweet buttercup." Bemenjo replied, "Enough! Yes, you would do something like that, especially if you are drinking rum, Bemi, and as far as beating you for no reason, I am yet to decide if this young fellow would do such a thing or not, so I told him he can follow us to the West Castle." Bemenjo's wife replied. But Buttercup," Bemenjo exclaimed. "Quiet, I have made my decision." Bemenjo's wife snapped back. Irok thought to himself, "Wow, this may be more interesting than traveling with Sir Aldrich. It is a day's ride to the next tavern and another half-day to West Castle. We are going to need a few supplies. Do you have any coin for your own supplies, mister?" Bemenjo's wife asked. "I do, and my name is Irok." "I remember Bemenjo, and what is your name, or should I just call you Buttercup?" Irok asked with a little grin. "My name is Ivy. Would you accompany me to the supply shop, please, Irok?" The two of them went to the supply shop. Ivy bought a spare wagon wheel, 3 bags of oats for the oxen to eat, 3 loaves of bread, a large jar of jam, a brush for the oxen, 3 small bags of tobacco, 2 packs of flint sticks, and 2 large bags of dried meat. Irok got himself a jar of pickled goose eggs, some peppermint oil for his breath, a bag of dried meat, and a jar of scented cologne. They both filled their water containers and carried their bags to the wagon. "You can throw your supplies on our wagon so you don't burden your horse," Ivy said. Irok threw his bag on the back next to Ivy's supplies, and they began on their way. Irok found himself quite smitten with Ivy. Even though she was sitting right next to her husband, he could not look away. Bemenjo did not say one word about Irok sneaking gazes at Ivy. Maybe he didn't notice, or maybe he doesn't care, Irok thought. On the other hand, Ivy did catch him staring a few times, and all she did was give a little smile, which showed her dimples and made Irok want to stare even more. They talked about their travels and what their job involved, traveling throughout Giant's Castle, moving and selling ale, wine, and rum. They were experts of the castle, and any question that Irok had, they could answer. They enjoyed hearing themselves speak, so Irok did not have to tell them much about himself, which comforted Irok. By midday, Bemenjo started to drink dark rum straight. He let Irok take a drink, and Irok near gagged. Bemenjo said, "How did I ever get whipped by someone who can't even drink?" They all three laughed. "We are making good time. We should be to the next tavern before dark. We will stay the night there and continue to West Castle in the morning," Ivy said. "Is it possible for me to continue on by myself once we reach the tavern?" Irok asked. "No," Ivy replied. "There are too many twists and turns to get to West Castle, and in the dark you will for sure get lost." Irok nodded. Not long after, the sun was just starting to fade into the horizon, and they had reached the tavern called the Lonely Stone. Irok helped Ivy down off the wagon, and she held his arm as they walked into the tavern. "I'm going in." Bemenjo exclaimed. He stumbled into the tavern, already drunk from the journey there. Ivy held Irok a little closer as they slowly walked up to the inn. Irok asked, I have to know how a beauty such as you ended up with someone like Bemenjo? Ivy gave a slight smile and said, He took me to a better life. I was scrapping pots and pans, living off scraps. I had no family, no close friends, and now I get to travel Giant's Castle from the 7 castles within, to all the tournaments, wherever the excitement is, that is where we go. Do I trust Bemenjo to be true? Of course not. When he gets to drinking, he will stick his cock into anything that moves, and more often than not, it is no longer me. If you were mine, I would take no other. I would never share you, and I would treat you like the Queen of Needheim. Irok replied, I have no doubt, Irok. From the moment I met you, I could tell what kind of boy you are. You are very sweet, but you are just that, a boy. Ivy said, I am 16 years old and more mature than Bemenjo could ever dream of being. Irok exclaimed, I will not dispute that. Ivy said with a smile. Irok went to the counter to request a room for the night, feeling defeated and trying to focus on what he originally was set out to do, find Sir Aldrich. We will need 2 rooms, one for me and one for the lady and her friend. Irok told the innkeeper. No, blurted out Ivy. 1 room will be just fine. Huh? Irok questioned. You may be a boy right now, Irok, but after tonight, I am hoping to make you a man, Ivy said as she rubbed his hair with her left hand and his chest with the right. The innkeeper gave them a key and said, You will stay in room 4. Let us know if there is anything else you need. Irok had never been so excited. They took 2 steps toward the room, and Irok picked Ivy up by the backside and carried her into the room, kissing her long and hard the whole way. Irok started kissing her whole body, and Ivy started taking off her small clothes. Once Ivy was naked, she took off Irok's pants. In his excitement, Irok's aim was quite off. Finally, Ivy grabbed him down below and guided it in. Irok's eyes rolled in the back of his head, and it was over almost as soon as it had started. I have a confession to make, Irok said. I know, hun, that was your first time, Ivy replied. No, not that. Well, yes, that too, Irok replied timidly. What I really wanted to say was I think I love you. Ivy began laughing, and Irok's face turned blood red. Love? Ivy said while lying naked with her body touching Irok's. Yes, is that so hard to believe? Irok exclaimed. We just met this morning, my sweet man. You do not know what love is. Ivy replied in a soft voice. Is it Bemenjo? Do you still love him? Irok asked. I do love him, but we are no longer in love and have not been for a long time. We are more like best friends and companions. Now please don't be mad. I do want you, but this is as far as we can go. Whether I am in love with Bemenjo or not, I have dedicated my life to him, and he has made my life better. If it weren't for Bemenjo, I would have never met you. Ivy replied with a soft smile and a soft touch to Irok's arm. We may have only known each other for a night, but I feel a special connection with you and want to spend more time with you. But I have a journey I must continue. Once my journey is over, may I come and seek you out? Irok asked. Why have you not shared what your journey is with me? Is it dangerous? Ivy asked. Irok took a deep breath in and out. I was with the escort that took King Oswald to Rice Castle. News has yet to reach Giant's Castle that Lord Dudley Rice's men ambushed the king's escort while they slept in Rice Castle. They shot down a majority of the men with arrows from the lofts above. There were only a few men left alive after the arrows stopped firing. The rest were killed simply due to being outnumbered. They stormed the king's chambers and killed him in a flash. One of the last men entering the chamber was carrying a Velrite short sword. I was one of 2 men who escaped. It was me and Sir Aldrich. Sir Aldrich, Ivy interrupted. Yes, I was Lord Alphys Alfred's squire, and I saw my lord murdered right before my eyes. I was frozen. Sir Aldrich snapped me out of it, and we managed to fight our way out of the attack. Well, honestly, Sir Aldrich did most of the fighting. We have traveled here with much haste to report to whoever is leading Giant's Castle. Irok replied. You are in luck, since King Oswald's brother is away attending his sister Ovalina's wedding to Lord Sabin Redmire, that has left Lord Willard Alfred as head lord of Giant's Castle. Right now he will be in King's Castle, and his Castellan will be watching over West Castle, Ivy said. Who is the Castellan at West Castle? Irok asked. Barton Aldrich. Ivy replied. Irok's eyes got big as he heard Ivy's words. How do you know so much about what is going on within the castle's walls? Irok asked. When you are the largest procurer of ale and wine in Giant's Castle's walls, you hear a lot and learn a lot, Ivy declared. There is no way you can lead me to West Castle right now. I need to be there to back up Sir Aldrich. I owe him my life, Ivy. I must reach him. Irok exclaimed. Unfortunately, thieves and bandits also live within the castle walls. It would be too dangerous even for someone as skilled as yourself. I do not want to put myself in danger. We will leave first thing in the morning. Ivy explained. Fine, Irok said with disappointment in his voice. Let's go peel Bemenjo off the bar floor so we can be ready first thing. Bemenjo will be fine, no matter how much he drinks. He is always first to rise. I think it is because of his Keltez blood. And besides, we still have the whole night to find out if you really are in love with me, Ivy said as she got on top of Irok and guided him inside her once again.